Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Stop Playin Podcast. It's your favorite homegirl, Koereyelle, here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. You already know that I'm bringing you the information and the conversations to help you make the money and get the honey. You can have it all as long as you are willing to work. And y'all, we have one of my favorite people in the whole wide world joining us on the pod. She ain't new to this. She is definitely true to this. I have affectionately claimed her as my auntie, as someone, y'all know I got mommy issues, but as not only do I have mommy issues, I got auntie issues. And the issue is I didn't grow up with real, true aunties. Now, my mom has sisters. My daddy got sisters, but I didn't grow up with a true auntie relationship. And so Miss LaTonia Taylor has adopted me and allowed me to claim her as my auntie, but I'm going to allow you to give yourself a proper introduction because auntie does you no justice.
Oh, well, I first of all, I'm honored to be auntie.
Yes.
I'm honored to be chosen. And I choose you too.
Thank you. Well, she takes it. Let me just say this. She takes it seriously. Okay. She like, you're not going to call me auntie and I'm not going to get you together. So I appreciate the being gotten. I appreciate it. I need it.
I love on you too.
You do. Okay. You do. Both. You balance it very well. But I'm just saying you're serious about it. And I appreciate that.
Yes. I mean, that's because I've been auntied. I've been auntie. I have a big sister.
Okay, that makes a difference.
My sister is my soft place to land. She's my safety. Yeah, so she was a buffer for me. But I am LaTonia Taylor, Reverend Dr. LaTonia Taylor, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the priestess of purpose, pleasure, passion, and profits. And I'd like to say that I'm empowering a new generation of leaders to step into their leadership. Feminine leadership, in particular, is my specialty. However, God has expanded my territory to empower all types of leaders. As provost of Hillside University, the metaphysical institution in the South, that is training ministers and coaches and masters in psychology as well.
Come on, titles, baby. Okay. I was just telling you that I literally saw you just randomly pop up on the screen on an episode of Married to Medicine. Literally, I think it might have been yesterday or the day before yesterday. And I'm always excited because your name comes up in conversations with not random people, but just so many different people that it's like, Auntie know everybody. Auntie be out here working with everybody, doing all the things that I don't think you speak to all of that all the time because we're pretty close and I had no clue you're on Married to Medicine. I sent that same picture to my husband. I'm like, look who this is. And he like, is that Auntie? Did she tell you? I was like, no, I had no idea. And I was telling you, another common mutual friend, hey, Aki, mentioned you randomly and was like, Auntie really be out here changing lives and doing the work.
I don't lead with a lot of the things that I do because sometimes it can be off-putting for people. But I think that the nieces help me pop my collar.
Yes, as you should.
You all really bring me out of my little shell. Sometimes I'm just really laid back because even you got to understand, like, so with having a mentor that's on such a large stage, there are people who tend to think, oh, she's name dropping.
You are paving your own path and you're doing it with such grace. And I think your nieces get you together because in the world of Atlanta, where so many people are popping their shit that ain't based on shit, it's like the people who are really doing the work, you should be, not that you should be introducing yourself as that, but people need to put some respect on your name. So anytime I have the opportunity to share you with my people, it is an honor. So thank you for being here. One of the things you mentioned that I want to tap into really quick is that you specialize in feminine leadership. And we were having a conversation at lunch one day and you were talking about something that you were dealing with personally. And you were like, I really had to just drop into my feminine. And that's stuck with me because I let you just keep talking, but I understood what you meant, but I didn't really know what you meant because I can't think of a time where I have consciously dropped into my feminine. I haven't had the aunties, the mamas, the big sisters to show me that or share that with me. So can you explain a little bit, what would you consider to be feminine leadership? And then what does it mean to drop into your feminine? How do we do that?
So that's a really great question, and I do want to do a disclaimer. I wasn't necessarily taught, as much as my family is matriarchal in terms of it being so woman dominant.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't necessarily teach me feminine skills.
Woman does not mean feminine. I've learned that. I have learned that the hard way.
They did not teach me that. So it's been a combination of things. Number one is sometimes the spiritual use of tools gets overridden by feminine. And so people think, oh, well, you just because that they're interchangeable. It's almost just like growing up in a house with a bunch of women. You think just because they're women that they operate or can teach you about your feminine. Well, just because someone is spiritual and the spiritual tools are used in or talked about by people who are feminine practitioners, but it really is tools. It takes tools. So of course, when we talk about feminine leadership, most of us have been conditioned by a masculine model.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
is that like leading with the iron fist? Like, how would you describe the masculine model?
I think even Stephen Covey, time management and all of the things that the world of business in. First of all, business is masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Let's just stop right there. Business alone is masculine. So when a woman is modeling herself in business or in career or as an executive, oftentimes she's been cultivated on how to show up and navigate the world of men.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be so careful not to become like them. And so dropping into my feminine is not, how do I say this? I was about to say it's not something that I often teach openly because it is so process driven.
Okay.
And it's not just one word, because the way you may need to drop is different than the way I need to drop into mine. And I think that is also why I am so reverent of this work or of this embodiment, is because it's not just a sound bite or a 1, 2, 3 step. It truly comes from process. So when I do it though, I go into my sacred seat.
Okay. And what does that mean?
Well, my sacred seat is what we call the power of the P.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, but what I teach, I say that the power of the P might mean prayer.
Mm.
Now that's spiritual. And so somebody listening will say, oh, I do that. But it is a dance with the most vulnerable, tender place of you as a woman that nobody sees often, particularly if they only know you as a leader or if they only know you in business. So they may not know that place. So let's say getting into that place that is so tender and so vulnerable that even you protect it. And so knowing how to drop in is where you get the process, the tools, the instruction, and that type of thing.
Speaking of the process, I just completed a process.
Yes, you did.
And I'm so proud of myself.
And I'm so proud of you too.
Listen, I am so proud of myself because I shy away from experiences, environments, people who put me in a vulnerable position. If I feel like I am not in control, I don't want to be there. Yeah. If I don't have the microphone and I'm standing in front of the room and I'm commanding the attention, I am not comfortable. And so doing this process, this rites of passage process that I asked you about, okay, you didn't drag me in kicking and screaming. This is something I came to you with, but that's why I'm proud too. It's because although I wanted to do it, it was something that, consciously, this was something that I knew that I needed, I wanted to do. When it was time to do it, I don't know if it's the little girl. I don't know who it was that showed up that was like, no, let me run in the other direction, or let me hide my face, or let me turn my camera off, or let me go to the back, and shy away and just kind of shrink down. And so the first time around, I think because this is my second time at the rodeo. The first time around, I think that I was still very much in my head about all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when I really allowed myself to fully be present, and it took a little minute, even when I was in the room, it took a little minute for me to fully be present. It was like I don't just want to say like a life-changing it was like a transformational experience, to the point where when it was all said and done, and my husband doesn't know what it consisted of, but my feedback to him when it was over, of just like, I ain't cried so much it's so long. I haven't faced the things ever, not even in so long, but ever. I haven't faced that side of me. And it was so funny because months ago I was talking to him about, like, what does this term shadow work mean? Like, when people are always talking about shadow work, what does that really mean? And baby, I came home and said, I have experienced the shadow work. I have done the work. I'm like, don't. And he was just like, I'm so proud of you for doing it. He was like, well, no, first thing he said was, well, why did you do it? Because I was like, oh my God, I didn't say I was traumatized, but I'm like, it was such an emotional experience that I was like, oh my God, at the end. And he was like, well, why did you do it? And I'm like, I did it for my kids. I did it for something bigger than just me, and not just my kids, but my kids' kids. And because of the generational patterns that I have come through, I really feel like I am the chain breaker, truly. And the work, as uncomfortable as it is, it's necessary.
Yeah.
And that is my experience on the other side of it. So without giving too much away, talk a little bit about these processes that you take women through, because it does go right back into the feminine leadership, and not just leadership in the terms of being a community leader or going out and leading a business, but just like being the leader of your life.
Yeah. So I think that, first of all, I'm proud of you. You represent a population, a culture of women who have disconnected from their feminine, and I call it the Olivia Pope syndrome.
Oof.
So
that would be accurate.
She can fix anything. She can do anything. So Olivia Pope, though, she was significant in public and searching for who she was in private. And a lot of your generation has the Olivia Pope syndrome. They're out there changing lives and get powerful in the front of the room. Don't know how to be in the back of the room. And certainly not knowing how to go to the upper room. Well, the upper room is where we go when we do these feminine processes. And what happens is, especially me leading with pleasure, because so many of us have been conditioned by religion and by church. One, that it has to look like that, an altar call, pain, and somebody preaching hard to you. Well, what's your desire? And what is it that you envision for yourself, for your life, for your legacy? Okay, what's going to stop you? Well, the thing that stops you is the thing that will harden us. It is the thing that when it's time to be deeply intimate and available to your children, to your partner, even to mentorship. And I remind me to give you an example of even access to other levels when you're not coachable, teachable, trainable, which requires vulnerability. And it's not easy, even sometimes for me. I'm Gen X. I've been cultivated by boomers, both in my personal life and in my professional life. And I think that the process is something that has become more formalized because we're no longer doing it in our families. We're no longer trusting the women in our own bloodline. When a woman does not feel safe in her own family, she has to get it from somewhere. And oftentimes she'll get it in the arms or between the legs or her of, or in the boardroom, or in, unfortunately, with her children. Her children become her workshop, her training. So when we talk about process, there are many types, but this rites of passage is, I would say, it is deeply like a sanctuary to come in, a safe place to really peel back the layers of the thing that keeps a woman stuck in those, let's say, in those moments where you're publicly significantly, but you're privately suffering. Okay, that's where we go into.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of highly high performing, high achieving, high everything, high level women are not doing that work. And so that's why, another reason why you don't see me popping my collar, because I have a lot of affluent, private, or I should say public clients, high level, highly visible clients.
Mm-hmm.
I
share
protect
their
that.
right.
I protect that. And it's better for you all to say, this is who impacted my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because will you trust me?
Right.
Because the very thing that most women are dealing with is trust issues. So it's really like coming into a sacred space to not be churched, to not feel shame and guilt, but to develop your relationship with God. But it's the God within you. And your God voice tells you, it guides you. And it also in some other traditions, we call it a self-accusing spirit. And so you had that, no matter what your pain was, and no matter how much you protected your pain, all of these conversations and all of the listening that you've done, you've heard common denominators from your friends and from your guests on this show. And so it is levels to this. Listen, this ain't even nothing.
No, this is something now. See, what you mean?
Girl, please.
That was just beginner play? No, ma'am. Beginner. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
That's just beginner. That is just neophyte level. Listen. Are you in a sorority?
Yes.
Okay.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. That is she. Yes.
I should have known.
Yes. Why didn't you know? Yes.
But listen, think about your pledging process.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you went into that, right? When you came out of it, you were proud because of everything. When you went into it, you didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't talk. Like y'all, half of y'all watching, y'all need to know that if y'all see people out here always posting rituals and ceremonies, you ought to, a flag ought
you ought to go the other direction.
Mm-hmm. Right? You don't see me doing that, do you?
Mm-mm.
People don't.
You ain't even tell us what we was getting ourselves into. I'm talking about the day of. We was asking each other like, what's going on here? We don't know. We just gonna figure it out. We gonna figure it out.
Because that's how I am my mother's daughter in that way.
You said, come on in the room. We gonna tell you what you need to know when you get here.
That's how I do it.
and did.
But even when we did Fix My Life, the guests didn't know that we had prepared an entire process from the first coaching call all the way to the very
because
end.
If you know, you're not coming.
Well, if you know, you're gonna try to control it.
Yeah. You're gonna try to prepare for it. There is no proper preparation for it. You can't get a right answer. You can't come up with a script. It's
right. And
put you on the spot.
And even so, it's not produced. There are times when I might plan something and spirit say nope. So that type of soul surgery, not a lot of people are doing that kind of work. A lot often imitated.
Mm-hmm. And not being duplicated. But baby, if you say that's the beginning,
it's really the beginning.
My spirit is not ready. Every time I'm still processing.
Try to stop doing juicy, every time I try to stop, the Divine Mother says nope. I was not gonna do that anymore because so many Black women fight this.
To your point, if your mother hasn't shown you, especially if you have achieved some things without doing that.
Oh God.
and you've got to the position where I don't necessarily feel like I'm above other people, but I feel like I'm above certain things because I've done these things. I've checked it off my list. I've accomplished these things. So it's very hard to convince a high earning, high achieving, high power woman that you got some issue you need to work on, because I've done all this.
Until
what do I
your
need to
life
fix?
falls apart, though.
Yeah, or it could already be falling apart, but you're not facing it because you're covering it up with all your accomplishments and your money, and you're buying people and you're buying places and things, and you're not really sitting with all of that issue made us think about.
And check this out. For the celebrity sis, until her brand starts to fall apart. Can't tell you how many people wanted to come to fix just because they wanted to clean up their brand. So we let's appear like we're doing the work. So we got a lot of that. You got a lot of that on television. Yeah, bring in a coach so it looks like I'm doing the work. And for some coaches that works, but not the way I'm trained, and not what I'm called to do. Plus, when we talk about the feminine, it's so sensitive. It's so tender. And you can hide, but you can run.
You can run, but you cannot hide. Especially not once you're in that room, because baby, I tried to hide and there was no hiding.
You showed up though.
I showed up. I don't want to keep saying I'm proud of myself, but if you knew, and you do know a little bit, the lengths to which I go to keep it together, that room was full of unraveling for everybody. Yes, it was like unraveling, undressing, uncovering, and really being seen.
Well, the process is that's why Juicy is called joyfully unveiling. Because we're unveiling, we're peeling back the layers. Intimacy. Into me, I see. This really is not about anything else. And how Juicy became so defined and so specific is because so many women were coming in the beginning when I led with sensuality. So many women were coming to be more orgasmic for somebody else or to get somebody else. So I could go into a room and talk about sensuality and orgasms and yoni power and all of that. But it became like when we entered into process, all the things that stop a woman from being orgasmic, from being available to her mate, from being available to her children, are the things that need attention. Those are the details that we can't override. Otherwise, I'm just stroking your ego
or putting a Band-Aid over
I'm putting a Band-Aid over it. I'm offering you something that will not be lasting. A lot of clients work with me don't have to come back because unless it's something specific, because I'm really a specialist. And so when you go to a specialist is going into the specifics of whatever you're going to. And so that's what this process is about. And plus, I'm a seer. You can't hide from me. And I have learned over time, I will not fight you for your healing. You know, I go there.
I tried to fight. I tried to kick and scream a couple times, and you said no.
Yep. It's okay. You win. You get to be right where you are, or you get to be free when you cross over to the other side. And the question is, what will it cost you if you stay the same? What will it cost you?
The opportunity cost, because you're missing out on something that you might not even know is possible,
right,
or available.
What do you think you are available to now? I know this is your show.
No, come on, ask me some questions. What do I think that I'm available to now? A daughter.
Oh, don't you do that.
I think that truly, and we've had this conversation, and I mean, I'm boy mom down to the socks, and I love my boys. But in recent conversations with my husband, I've had to ask, do you think I've been in denial? Do you think that I was just saying, was that just a defense mechanism saying that I didn't necessarily want a daughter? I don't know that I ever said I don't want a daughter, but I definitely was not excited about the thought. And I know it's been confirmed because I had suspicions before, but it's been confirmed that it wasn't that I didn't want a daughter or that I wasn't looking forward to it. It was that I didn't want what I had. I did not trust myself to not recreate my experience with my mother.
These are the things that make me love you, though.
Well, thank you.
This because you have depth that you don't give credit to.
I don't go there a lot.
I think
that is another thing that I have opened myself to.
I think you do. I saw it before you saw it.
Mm.
And that, I don't mess with a lot of people. So,
thank you. Chosen one. Thank you.
It's not, I don't have to just add, air to your wings, right? I don't mess with a lot of folks in that way, but you have depth. And depth is not something that is easily accessible.
Mm-hmm.
There's something in you and on you. And and that's God to me. That's the God, your work. That's your anointing. That's your calling. You're curious with other. I see it. And so those are the women who come to me. Those are the women who are drawn to me. Straight no chaser. You straight no chaser, right? About your business. In other words, it would take a certain kind of person to even be able to deal with your strength.
Mm-hmm.
They have to meet you.
That's why people don't fool with me. That's why I be off to the side. Just like you said, you don't fool with a lot of people. They don't fool with me, but I ain't fooling back either. Like it's like yeah. I'm removed my seat from the table. Mm-hmm. That. But even with like the podcast, one thing so this is something else. Again, I feel like I got a lot of confirmations. And so I feel like I started back doing more solo shows. So I know this is a pleasant surprise for y'all that I have an amazing guest here, but I feel like God literally said to me, I didn't just give you this platform to share other people's stories. Like it's your turn to start talking. So I think even having guests, I was hiding behind. I was putting the microphone in your face so that I didn't really have to share, all of the things. So I would share, but it was surface level sharing. It wasn't like,
there's some people who won't even share as much as you have shared, right? And I see straight through it, but nevertheless. And that's the other thing. Let me say this. There are gifted people, anointed people, called people who want to heal, who want to be free. And they don't even consciously know why they're reacting or recoiling from a person.
mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when you're so gifted, when you have spiritual gifts, when you're in the presence of another person that has spiritual gifts, it can make you feel uncomfortable because you don't want to be seen. And if they see me, will they love me? If they see me, will they judge me? If they see me, will they call me out? And so a lot of women with attitude really are just protecting the little girl wound or the little girl fears or that type of thing. So when you come in the presence of, and I think it's love actually, because love is not always soft and frilly. And then when you study the feminine, see, feminine has become a catch-all term for soft. And that's not, every woman is not soft in that way, but she's still worthy of all of the benefits of her femininity. Even if she's loud, fierce, warrior goddess, whatever, there's different phases. But if we have spiritual amnesia to who we are, that's just as intentional as genocide. If we can have conversations about economic slavery, suppression, then how do you get the economic when the feminine has no economy? You have to have an economy to who you are as a woman. And if a woman is disconnected from women and leading other women, that is out of order.
I've been out of order for a long time. It's so many women that are out of order.
So many women out of order. If you're a coach and you don't have a coach, you're out of order. You're a therapist, you don't have a therapist, you're out of order. Come on. I have some accountability to somebody. I can't be out here in these streets coaching and acting a fool. There have been times when, after, I'm talking about minister, coach, on the national stage, where I've had to answer for a Facebook post. Somebody make a phone call to, and if I'm indignant, right? Like, I'm grown. You don't tell me what to do. You ain't paying my bills. I miss the same mothering that I crave, or the same mentorship that I crave, because a lot of people want the transactional benefits of who you are, who you're connected to. But can you be in relationship with me in ritual, in prayer, in ceremony? Those are the sisterhoods that I want to be a part of.
And that's the culture that's the environment that you're cultivating.
I feel like,
because I don't think any of the women, and just from the side conversations we had, I don't think that any of those women have experienced anything like that process.
Some of them may have worked with my mentor. But
I mean, outside of this, I mean, I had conversations with one of the young ladies who's also in a sorority, and we just were comparing notes of like this, what you would think that you would be exposed to or get access to, or the benefits of being in a sorority, is the sister. A lot of times it's taken out of those sisterhoods.
I have heard that from so many women at the end of rites of passage, that they have not even experienced this in their sorority. So it's an honor. It's an honor. It's God's work. It truly is. Can I adjust this?
Yes, please do. I wanted to do it so bad, but I didn't want to reach over you.
I want to adjust this, and can I put some earrings on?
Yes. Okay, we're gonna finish this segment. No, we're gonna finish this segment, and then I'm gonna get to the auntie question. So finish your statement. And first of all, your hair looks so good.
Thank you. I was like,
you can't see though. You can't see your ears,
but I got earrings.
Oh, that you're gonna see. Okay. Got you. Okay, got you.
I'm like, that's
you need some earrings. Got you. Okay. No earrings.
And my husband told me before, he said, you don't have on anything here. You don't have on anything. I said, I'm gonna put it on.
And you forgot. Okay, it's okay. We can finish this, and then you can do all the things.
Okay.
So, were you finished with your thought? Okay. So, for anybody watching this, I feel like I definitely attract, because I often talk about how I'm not religious. I don't subscribe to religion. I know I got some church girls tuned in. This is no shade, no tea. But I definitely consider myself to be very spirit-led. Me and God go together real bad. But for the women who are hearing all of this and they want to know, how can I touch the hem of your garments? Who are you for? And what do you have coming up that they can take advantage of or be a part of?
Okay, so I think that I would say I am for the woman who is a seeker in transition, who is willing or looking to deconstruct. And what I mean by that is, sometimes we've had church hurt, we've had the religious experiences, and we know what we don't believe, but we don't know why we don't believe it. We know what we don't ascribe to, but we don't know why, or what is the option, right? And so I'm a teacher in that way, because I'm a metaphysician. So Jesus was a mystic, and a lot of people don't know that. And so when they hear other mystics who aren't religious in that way, but see, I can navigate because I've done my work. I used to be her. I'm from the South. I could have even gone either way. I could have been a devout Catholic, or I could have been a super holy roller in the Baptist church, because in my family, I've had to navigate between both of them.
Okay.
And so what I did...
You spent time with the nation. I'm talking about so multifaceted. Auntie didn't live some lives, baby.
Yeah, but then I'll start talking astrology, because then, and that might throw off the church girls, and they won't hear the rest of what I'm getting ready to say.
We gotta open our minds. Okay.
So, but what I would say is, investigate your doubts and hold true to your findings. Because if Minister Farrakhan does have a saying where he says, he who prescribes the diameter of your thinking controls the circumference of your knowledge.
That's deep. I have to unpack that.
So we talk a lot of stuff about empowerment and oppression. Yet we don't question the institutions that shape our thinking. Why did they teach us this? Where did that come from? If it comes from your colonizer and your oppressor, it's worthy of questioning. And so that is the same for our feminine, for our family. I cannot tell you how many things I didn't know. I didn't know either. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful to be able to live to see some of the things that a lot of revolutionaries, a lot of people who sacrificed and martyred themselves, Dr. Frances Cress Weldon, peace and blessings upon her. Maya Angelou, peace and blessings upon her. Dr. C. Dolores Tucker, who took a bullet for the hip hop community, only for us to find out that hip hop was being controlled by the CIA and government agents. But a woman took a bullet. And I looked at her crazy too. Oh, she's just an old fogey, whatever. But many of them died not getting a chance to see their work materialize. And I don't want to get emotional, but whew, when I think about being called to this work and being able to see it, the scripture says, he who has begun a good work in you shall complete it. So to be able to see the transition into generations, because I didn't agree. I'm like you. I was you. I see me in you. I see me in a lot of my nieces. And that's why I love on you all fiercely, because there's a space for you to question. There's a space for you to be disruptive, not disrespectful, but disruptive. I didn't always have those spaces. So I do this work because I had to figure it out. When I deconstructed, when I came out of Christianity and then jumped right into Islam and then jumped out, I was a studier. And so I had to know, what was going to sustain me, because I found myself jumping right back into other things. The problem is not always the content, the challenge and the pathology is in the pattern. So if you're religious over there, you'll be religious over here. If you're judgmental over there, you'll be judgmental over here. And that might be in your marriage. It might be in your relationships with other women. It's going to show up. So the way that I've been taught and the way that I've been trained is we get into, look at the word pathology. You got to get in. What are the path? If you keep on choosing the same pathway to respond to the conflicts in your life, the challenges in your life, then you're going to continue to end up at the same destination. And insanity is wanting to end up at a different destination, but you keep on going down the same path.
Same thing.
So I want to encourage people to sometimes the path unfolds as you walk it.
That's hard for high achieving, high perform. That's hard because I want to carve out the path. I need to see the end point.
That's the masculine. That's the masculine that needs to control, predict. The feminine. And this is important because to be able to drop into your feminine sometimes means that you don't know what you don't know.
And you're okay with that.
And I'm okay with it because I know me. I know the God in me. I know my power. And so sometimes dropping into my feminine is what the old people used to say, drop your face to the floor to God. But instead of doing it, genuflecting in that way, can you do it when you're sitting in the boardroom? Can you do it in the face of a conflict where you want to name call, curse somebody out, or take some other type of action? Wait a minute, can I drop in? I'm not saying I'm perfect. Trust me, my husband will probably be here to testify. My mother probably would even have something to say. She loves to remind the other side of me, right? But that side of me doesn't dominate as much. If anything, I'm probably even more sensitive. Still, I'm still boundaried. But I think dancing with our dark feminine is necessary.
So how can they do the dance with you, Auntie?
Oh, that's what you want to know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We needed all of it. We needed all of it. But somebody want to know, how can they get in with Auntie?
I think the way that the best way is to start off with a reading.
Okay. Is that a blueprint?
Yeah, start off with your own reading, because I think when you start with yourself, you'll end with yourself.
Okay, this is true.
Right?
This is my story. I started with the
You start
reading.
with you, see what your blueprint says, because it's all there. In the words of Young Jeezy, it's all there.
People need to start off with a reading. How can they do that? Schedule with you.
Oh, so they can go to links always in my bio. Do people even know where bios are anymore?
They do. Do they click? No, they probably just DM you and ask a bunch of questions.
Exactly. Well, so it's rebirthwithlatonia.info is where they can find everything, but all of the links are in my bio on socials.
And where are you on socials?
I'm on IG, Threads, Facebook.
Is it Rev Coach?
Oh, it's
Rebirth with LaTonia.
Rebirth with LaTonia on all platforms.
Okay, and I will put all of that down below. Don't slide in Auntie DMs asking her questions that she just gave y'all the answers to. Okay, tap the link in her bio. I will also put the link to her website down below. But I feel like the women who find you with purpose. It's like that quote that says, "When the student is ready, the teacher will appear."
Yeah.
So if you are feeling led, this is the lady for you. I appreciate you so much. We are not done. Okay. We are going to get into our Ask Auntie segment.
One more way they
can
read.
Okay, go for it.
So the reading is one way.
Okay.
Or they can do a 7-day process just to get an experience of what is this thing called feminine abundance and leadership. Is this
ongoing or is it offered at certain times?
Well, it is offered. It's either you can do a DIY or you could do it with me and my team.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there's the option for them to do it on their own.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will link that as well as on your website.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will link all of that. Fab Factor, 7-day process. I'd say start with the reader so she could get you together 101 and then getting where you fit in. But I feel like once people are in your world, they just kind of stay because there's not many places like it. Okay. So we're going to get into Ask Auntie. Stick around. We'll be right back.